Thanks for staying with us for this latest episode of The Broadway Show. So glad you're here. Sardi's, it's been the toast of Broadway for 100 years, a New York City institution in the heart of the theater district, known for the iconic caricatures on the walls. Let's send it out to Perry Sook.
Thanks, Tamsin. I'm here just steps away from Schubert Alley, surrounded by countless can't-miss Broadway shows. But something else that shouldn't be missed on a trip to New York is a trip to Sardi's. Let's head inside to learn more about this historic restaurant. Now, the first face you see when you walk into Sardi's is that of the maitre d', Ivan. Ivan, how long have you worked here at Sardi's?
29 years.
We're here in a very spacious main dining room.
Yeah.
How much does this fill up on an average night?
Well, you know, we are a pre-theater restaurant. So what happens is usually like a couple hours before the show, the dining room, from being empty, it really fills up.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody's running around, everybody's serving their food, everybody wants to check at the same time, and then 10 minutes, half an hour before the show, it empties out again.
Any special memories, any that stand out to you?
Patricia Neal, she would walk in and she would sit at this table right here because she couldn't walk very well, and she would see me and grab my hand and say, "Hello, darling." Moments like that, like Rue McClanahan, she used to hang out here all the time. This was her place. A lot of times actors, we try to keep them safe and make them feel comfortable.
Sure.
And we don't want the people to bother them while they're eating. However, Rue told me, never stop a guest to come and see me or ask for an autograph or for a picture.
Wow.
She always said yes to everybody. And then there's other moments like when one time Catherine Zeta-Jones walked in and she asked me to show her caricature of her husband, Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody's dining, middle of dinner, everybody's talking, and as we were walking through, you can hear the silence.
Really?
And then you hear the whispers, "Oh my God, that's Catherine Zeta-Jones." Yes. And then you have, I don't know, George Clooney once,
Right.
quite the opposite. He was walking outside, and as he walked through, people stood up and started clapping like crazy. So moments like that, yeah.
Quite the clientelist in the history here at Sardi's. Do you mind showing me around a bit?
No, absolutely. Come
Perfect,
on.
let's go.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we see the famous Sardi's caricatures all around us. About how many of them are there?
There's probably about 17 or 1800 of them. Wow. Not all of them on the wall. Some of them have been stored in a vault.
Wow.
Out of the frame. But yeah, probably 800 of them at any given time on the walls between first, second, and fourth floors. And how you get a caricature on the wall, you have to be a Broadway actor, a star on Broadway, and you have to create a relationship with the restaurant. I think there's like a symbiotic relationship between Broadway and theater and Sardi's.
All right, so where are we now?
Well, this is the second floor dining room, club room, filled with caricatures just like downstairs, of course. And there's one of my favorite, Kermit, probably the most popular among adults and the kids.
Oh,
Everybody
sure.
loves Kermit, and that's why he's screwed into the wall.
Screwed into the
For
wall.
safety,
Wow.
yes.
That's amazing of all these, and there are so many. It is really remarkable how many there are.
And they go all around, even into the bar. You want to take a walk to the bar?
Yeah, sure.
There's Max, the owner.
Perfect, awesome. Well, thank you so much for the tour. I think I got to catch up
You're
with
welcome.
Max.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here with Max Klimavicius, the owner here at Sardi's. What an institution this is, really a backbone of the Broadway theater scene. Can you tell me a little about the history?
The history begins back in the early 1900s. The restaurant was founded by two Italian immigrants, Vincent and Eugenia Sardi. They opened a restaurant here on 44th Street, down the block where the St. James Theater is today, and they called it the Little Restaurant. It was in the bottom of a brownstone in 1921. In 1927, the brownstone was torn down to build the theater that is today the St. James.
St. James, yeah.
Okay. So they had to move. By then, they had met the Schubert brothers, who owned the Schubert Theater, and they owned the building here. And he offered them the ground floor for the restaurant. And that's how they came to this location in 1927. They met a Russian immigrant here at the restaurant who was sitting at an event, and he was doing the drawings of the people at the table. And it was at this event that the idea came up that why Vincent wouldn't use Alex to do the drawings of the famous people that came into the restaurant. And Vincent though he liked the idea, he didn't have money to pay Alex, so they struck a deal where Alex would draw the caricatures of the famous people that came into the restaurant in exchange for 2 meals a day. And the deal had a stipulation that Vincent didn't have the right to criticize Alex's art, and Alex didn't have the right to criticize Vincent's meals. Many of the subjects back then hated the drawings or the caricatures.
Wow.
And the way Alex worked was that he would approach the celebrity. He would do a rough draft of the person. He would have him sign, and then he would finish him. But in the finishing, he would add either a crooked nose or a spaghetti hanging from their mouth or something that the celebrity wouldn't approve. So that's why later on it became that we approach the celebrity and we have more of a handle as to how they would look. And so that's why it has evolved more into a portrait.
Now, I've heard, as far as the participant side of the show go, actors, I've heard a story that when Sardi Sr. passed, they opened up his desk and there were quite a few IOUs to actors who had run up quite the tab at Sardi's. Is that that true?
It is true. It is
Wow.
true. We've had house accounts here. I mean, probably one of the very few restaurants in New York that has house accounts. A lot of these house accounts were for actors. And if the actors were struggling, and Vincent would just wait on collecting.
Wow.
And yes, when he passed away, there was a chest full of IOUs that were never redeemed. But that was the kind of man he was. And that's why the love between Broadway and Sardi's.
All right, I'm here at one of my favorite places in Sardi, up at the upstairs bar with one of the longtime bartenders, Jeremy. Jeremy, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Perry. Good to see you.
Now, what would you say is the most famous drink here at Sardi's?
The martini is really still, it's a classic bar.
Well, Jeremy, my wife is from Russia, so do you mind making me a vodka martini?
Absolutely.
That's phenomenal. Well, while we got the drink going, can you tell me a little about the menu here at Sardi's?
The menu, it's a continental menu. It's changed over the years. Was French-inspired for a little while. A couple of traditions, the cannelloni, which was part of the original menu. Different meats wrapped in a crepe with a cream sauce and melted cheese on top.
You're making me hungry over here, Jeremy.
A few salads, a few sandwiches, some appetizers, and some entrees.